Yes, this is John G. Sutton, and welcome to Tales from the Jails. Today I want to talk a little bit about the bar, the boozer, Strangeways, which was located, not there now, but in the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s, maybe certainly the 1980s, it was located in the wall between the actual outer wall and the inner wall. There was a down in the basement. If you look at the front of Strangeways jail, yeah, the old Victorian entrance, the big two towers, yeah, big wooden oak door with all the iron bolts through it, yeah. Well, on the left of that, there's a door set into the wall, yeah. Go through. If you can go through that, if you could go through that door, you'd find there's a staircase down into the basement, and it was in that basement was located the bar for Strangeways prison, and it was run by a prison officer who ran it as a licensed premises. He had the license, you see. So that was the bar. Now, what happened in the bar was it was open from about 12 o'clock till 3 or something like that in the afternoon, and then again at night from, I don't know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. Yeah, right up till closing time, which was about 11 o'clock in them days, I believe, 10:30, something like that. But the thing was, at lunch times, you used to get the staff, not all the staff, obviously. Some of the staff would go into the bar and start lashing it back. The main drink of the day was Boddington's Bitter, which was brewed at the Boddington's Brewery, which was about 250 yards, 300 yards down South Hall Street, turn left on the left. That was the Strangeways Brewery, and it was really nice beer. I absolutely did enjoy Boddington's beer in them days. Can't stand the stuff now. But then again, I'm a little bit older. No wiser, though. Maybe a little bit. Anyway, so in the bar at Strangeways, the governor was down there. He'd be in there 12:30, drinking beer, whatever else he was drinking. I don't know if he drank shorts as well. He drank something enough to get himself out of his head anyway, because he was certainly not sober in the afternoons, believe me. Yeah, so they do a lot of drinking at night as well. The problem with drinking in the afternoon was you get, and they weren't, like, I must admit, I went down there once or twice when I first joined Strangeways in '75, and I had a pint of beer or half a beer and a pie, because they used to sell pasties and pies and stuff like that. And that would last me all dinner time. It was all right. I didn't think that was too bad. I was a fit, healthy young man then, you know. But some of the staff, they would go down there and they'd have 2 or 3 pints lined up. And as they drank one, they get another one. Yeah, so they maintained a chain of supply of the beer. One down, next to go, get another one in. Yeah, so they'd probably do 3 or 5 pints, maybe at dinner time, some of them. And they'd go back in, and they'd be steaming with beer, reeking of beer. And of course, they're on the landings with the inmates, and the inmates are smelling all this beer. And the staff, made some of them quite aggressive. I remember there was one of them there, I called him Big H, his name was. He was about 6'5", great big 18, 19 stone fella. And he'd go in there in the bar at lunchtime. He was a hospital officer, by the way, a senior hospital officer. And I called him Big H anyway. I don't know what his real name was. Anyway, he used to go in there and knock a load of beer back, and he'd come into the prison, and he'd be shouting abuse at prisoners, shouting abuse at me, threatening me. I took statements of inmates, and when he'd been threatening me, and took them to the governor, said, "Will you put these into my personal record of service? What's all this about?" I said, "Well, in the event that this maniac that you're employing that goes and gets tanked up at dinner time comes back in and attacks me, I want you to be able to refer to my record of service. I warned you about him. It didn't go down very well, believe me. And that was the Governor, Norman Brown. Now, Norman Brown was an old-fashioned gentleman type, ex-army officer. Was a decent man, also a piss artist, by the way, and very much old school. Had this been the Victorian era, he would have been a brilliant governor. I've mentioned this before, as it was in the 20th century, he was kind of out of time, you know. Yeah, the days of actually keel hauling people, tying them to things and whiplashing them, yeah, there's gone, but not in the mind of Norman Brown. Anyway, so that was what the club did at dinner time. At the evening, after you'd finished work, people would go into the club, you know, instead of going home. They'd go in the club, and they'd be down there lashing it back. And one of the guys went in there, and one of the things that they used to do was they had like a clique of real hardened boozers in there, and they'd grab people for some unknown reason. I don't know how they got away with this. They'd grab people who went in there inadvertently. I mean, you would go in there. I mean, if you worked at the jail, you were allowed to go in, you know, because you had like a warrant card and that got you in. So anyway, sometimes the police would go in as well, but the police got the idea that the staff were getting tanked up at night and driving home. So they used to just wait outside the jail, seriously. Wait outside the jail, the staff would come out, pissed up, get in the car, stop them, breathalyse them, charge them. They did about 3 or 4. One poor guy, I'll tell you his first name, but I won't tell you his last name. No names, no pack drill, standard rule, yeah? Unless you're Norman Brown, then, well, you've nailed your colours to that mast. Yeah, yeah, no names, no pack drill. First name, Andy. He went out, tanked up, stopped him on, I think it was Bury Old Road or something, you know, going up towards Prestwich, where he lived in a prison quarter with his wife and family, you know. Done, breathalyzed, magistrate's court, pled guilty. I think they didn't ban him, but they might have banned him, but anyway, he was back driving before long. Into the club, tanked up, into the car. Police pulled him again, Bury Old Road, into the magistrate's court, banned for a while, disqualified from driving, into the club, tanked up, into the car, Bury Old Road, prosecuted, kicked out the prison service, end of job. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if you're going to drink, don't drive. I absolutely don't. Never. Never, will not touch it. Have a glass of fizzy water, happy with that, you know, but I won't drink and drive, goodness me. Generally speaking, I have done in the past, in the 60s and 70s, when it was acceptable. It ain't acceptable now, so I don't do it. Listen, another thing that they did in the club at night was there was a clique of them, you know, a group of them, about 5 or 6 of them, big buggers who would get drunk, and they used to grab people. You went in there and they'd grab hold of you and tear all your clothes off. And just a bit further down from the first door, next to the gates, as I've described it, yeah, there was another door further down, a double door. And they used to strip the people off in the club, drag them down to that door and throw them out into Southall Street, stark naked. And then they had to run up Southall Street and get back in the club door if you could get in. I mean, don't forget you've got nothing on, you've no clothes, everything, you got your keys and everything are inside the club. They had one prison officer there. He was a middle-aged man, probably about 45, you know. I mean, at the time I was a young man, 25, something like that. But he was about 45, something like that. And they grabbed him in the club. I was in there, you know, and I was only just having a shandy or something, or a glass of, before I went home. And I'm not drinking because it's dangerous stuff for me. And they grabbed him and he's pleading, please don't do it, please don't do it. Shut up, yeah, they don't care. They've heard it all before, these guys. Ripped his clothes off, When they got to removing his trousers, they whipped his trousers off, and instead of having the usual shreddies on, like, you know, standard boxer shorts or Y fronts as they were in the days, you know. Yeah, there'll be people here who remembers Y fronts, yeah. Anyway, that's not what he had on at all, no. He had a female suspender belt, seriously, female suspender belt, black frilly knickers, and tights, you know, black tights, fishnet tights. Well, everybody's pissing themselves laughing at this, but it didn't stop them getting ripped off. Then they flung him naked into Southall Street, and nobody would open the door for him. Hey, poor bastards banging on the door. Yeah, those were the days. They had a guy there who was not. He wasn't the chaplain. That was Noel Proctor, very decent man. Noel Proctor believed in God. Yeah, absolutely. And he tried his very best to help the inmates. He really, really did. When I was ill, you know, Noel Proctor came to see me. Came to my house. A nice man. Yeah. Anyway, they had another guy who used to assist Noel Proctor, and they called him, I mean, not me specifically, but they called him the rocking vicar, because he wanted to be in with the boys, you know. But little did he know that these were not just ordinary, happy-go-lucky, chummy types. These were maniacs. And he was down in the bar with them, chatting away, laughing away, and they grabbed him. Dog collar off, clerical clothes off, stark bollock naked, arm up his back, out through the door, into the streets, lock the door. Hey, the rocking vicar running up and down Southall Street, stark bollock naked, trying to get in, eh? Those were the days. Tales from the jails. Hey, subscribe if you've enjoyed this little adventure. And don't forget, subscribe, eh? Yeah, subscribe. And get my book, Psychic Screw. Yeah, it's on Amazon. Thank you very much.